Welcome to the Four Heroes podcast. My name is Bonnie Douglas, and I'm the Director of Operations for Four Heroes. We are so glad that you're here. This week, we're celebrating National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. It's a celebration of our heroes in headsets, 911 dispatchers. Frank and I had the opportunity to do something for the very first time. We recorded our conversation with Lauren, one of our super talented local dispatchers. Lauren is great at what she does. She's received a Lifesaver Award and serves our community as a supervisor at the 911 call center. She helps to lead the group of very first responders when there is an emergency. Whether you are inside or outside of the public safety community, we hope that you will be inspired by Lauren's story. It's incredible to hear how her faith in God guides her as she responds to people in need.
Welcome to the podcast. This week is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week. It's a big week for all of our friends at 911 and the people who appreciate them so much. We all do. And we have an opportunity today to sit with one of our incredible dispatchers from Fayette County 911.
Yeah.
This is dispatcher Lauren, who comes to us from Gaffney, South Carolina. The only debutante I've ever known.
Debutante.
Semi-professional clogger.
Yeah, I'm already learning new things.
Absolutely.
I'm already learning. I did not know that you were a debutante or a clogger.
Listen, there's
Thanks,
so
Frank.
many layers to my friend Lauren. And sitting here with us is Bonnie Douglas, who you normally hear doing our intro and outro for the podcast. And really happy to have Bonnie at the table.
Yeah,
with
excited to be
us.
here.
Yeah. Lauren, welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, refresh my memory. How long have you been at 911?
This October, it'll be 7 years.
That's a really long time.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Because I know when I think about who sits in that room with you, most of our dispatchers have been there a lot less than 7 years.
Yeah.
What's kept you on the job for 7 years?
I can't stop going back. Yeah, I love it. I can't see myself anywhere else. So
Oh man, we love having you there. What got you interested in applying to 911 to begin with?
I was in the food service industry for about 7 years or close to it as well, and was just getting burnt out with just waitressing and just that industry. And you work hard in that industry as well, but you don't make anything, sometimes. And I was looking for something different, and I had thought about nursing school. I had even taken a CNA class, but wasn't sure that was right for me. But I still wanted to get into something where I was still giving back and helping people, something rewarding. And a friend of mine that I used to work with at the Cheesecake Factory, she actually applied to work for a different county's 911 center. And I talked to her a little bit about it, and I was interested, but I truly had no idea at the time what 911 really did other than answer 911 calls, because there's so much more to it. And I stayed up really late one night at my friend's grandmother's house, and we did job applications, and we probably did about 30 that night. Just, again, me looking for something
30.
better, for a change. Yeah, about 30. It was a lot. I was up all night. And the first application out of all of those that I did was for Fayette County 911. Somebody had said, get a government job. Like, those are really good.
Okay.
Great benefits. So that was the first application of all the many that I did. And I got callbacks from several of the applications. And ultimately, I ended up going with 911. But I had no idea what I was getting myself into. So.
It's an adventure, isn't it?
Every day is different.
Yeah.
You never know when that phone rings, what's on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes the worst day of somebody's life.
Most of the time, people don't call us to tell us that they're having a good day or ask us about our day. They're calling us because it is, in their mind, at that time, it is their worst day. And sometimes it's silly too. Like, it's barking dogs or somebody walking down the street that they don't think belongs there, or a car's parked wrong. It's not always real emergencies, but to that person calling, it is. So.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're there to take those calls. You said there's a lot goes on besides just taking calls. What else do you guys do?
When we answer 911 calls, we answer also non-emergency lines. We answer alarm lines, and that can be your burglary alarm going off at your house. A lot of people have medical pendants, a lot of elderly or people with underlying health issues. They have the option to have the medical pendant, so they can press that pendant and we can send them help. Fire alarms at businesses, fire alarms at your home. So it's not just 911 calls, there's other types of phone calls that we're taking at the same time. And also, while we're answering all those calls, we're dispatching for law enforcement, fire departments, medical, EMS, animal control, the marshal's office, and the list goes on. But we're doing all of that all at the same time. Some 911 centers, they have the call takers and the radio dispatchers split up, and you only do one at a time. But where I work, we do both at the same time, and I think it's a lot harder. So.
Yeah, it's remarkable to me when I go to 911 to sit in the radio room and pay attention to all the things that are going on. The phone's ringing, the radios, all the audio cues you guys are just used to. You've developed split ears so you can listen to multiple things at one time. And how you keep up with it all, I don't know. But to me, it's also having the maturity emotionally to deal with one crisis after another on a 12-hour shift in what is essentially a windowless room with that same group of dispatchers over and over, and it's kind of like Groundhog Day, over and over and over again. The calls just keep on coming. What to you is stressful about the job?
I think you kind of introduce it a little bit. That's one of the most challenging things for us is we could start the shift off at 6 in the morning or 6 at night, depending on what shift you're on, and you could come in and immediately answer the phone for the first time, and it could be somebody finding their loved one dead that is passed through the night, and they're waking up in the morning and they find them. And so that could be your first call of the day, and that's how you start your day. And then the next phone call that you immediately have to answer could be, like I said, a barking dog or somebody stealing from Walmart.
Right.
You truly never know what you're going to get on the other line. It could be somebody calling and just wanting directions, because people just think, oh, I'll call 911 and they're going to help me, and we are. But that's one of the most stressful things, I think, to me and a lot of other people. It's just you have to really learn how to balance your emotions, and you don't even realize you're doing it, but it's like one call after the next, and we don't really have the opportunity to just get up and walk away for 30 minutes. The phone's still ringing. You still have responders on the other side of the radio that are talking to you, so there's not much downtime in between calls. So I think that can be very stressful.
Absolutely. And one of the things about being a dispatcher is it's different than working in law enforcement or working fire and EMS, where you're going out on calls, you can see the light of day, you're in a uniform, people know who you are. You're just that voice in the dark. But the very first responder, nobody answers a call until you dispatch them.
Right.
And I think that what you do is so valuable, but it's done behind the scenes, which I think is one of the reasons why it's so important to celebrate this week, to throw some love towards 911 and acknowledge that those dispatchers are the link between this community and the public safety world. I'm so grateful for what you guys do. We've had to call 911.
Yeah.
And you guys picked up the phone in the middle of the night when my house was on fire. You picked up the phone when I had chest pains. You have helped me. And you've helped so many in our community. We're a better, safer community because you're there, for sure. No question about it. But I think 911 gets overlooked. In the mix of things, when folks think of responders, they tend to think of fire, EMS, law enforcement.
Right.
Of course, you guys aren't, trying to draw attention your way, but I think what you do deserves to be acknowledged and for folks to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So what would you say is one of the more exciting or rewarding parts of the job? We talked about stress, but something's got to keep you coming back, and it's not because you're a stress junkie.
Being a dispatcher, you get to be a little puzzle piece in, the big puzzle of trying to help save a life, and that could mean sometimes it is a life or death situation. Sometimes it could be just getting that person back on the right track. Like, we have a lot of suicidal callers, and we try to talk them through those negative thoughts that they might have, and that definitely is rewarding. A lot of the times, though, we don't know the outcome. A lot of the calls that we take, we don't know the outcome and how it turns out, or even if it's a bad call, if that person's passed away. Some of us have relationships with some of the responders, though, and every now and then we'll find out something and we'll get that closure, but we don't always. So those few times where we do know the outcome and that something worked out in that person's favor, if I saved one life, then it was worth it,
And you have.
Yeah.
You have. So, Lauren, we've got folks who are listening who are not part of the public safety community. What's one thing you'd want them to know about your job?
A lot of callers, they get very frustrated with us. We do tend to ask a lot of questions, but I just wish that people would understand that it is always for a reason. And just because we are asking questions, it's not delaying the response. It's not delaying that help getting to you. We take medical calls and we follow EMD protocols, and we have questions that we read from a card. We try to not deviate from reading the question exactly how it's stated, because it's there for liability purposes, but also to ensure that the people that are calling get the best help. You might need a paramedic, you might need a firefighter, you might just need a police officer, and you don't need a medical response. So anything that we are asking you, we're not doing it to be nosy and be in your business, or just because we want to simply interrogate you. It is because we just want to get you the best help. And sometimes we have to ask those questions. And also to make sure that we have all the information needed before the responders get there, so they know what they're walking into.
Yeah, that sounds good. So you're asking all those questions so that you can get them the best help possible.
Right.
When you take a call, as you're asking those questions, you just find that sometimes people get a little on edge the more you ask. Yeah. So you're just kind of saying, hey, some understanding and some patience would be great as we're working through this situation. Yeah.
It's understandable because, again, they're calling us on what is probably one of the worst days of their lives. So your emotions are, you're going to be on edge, or you might be hysterical, crying. You're probably not listening to what I'm saying at all. It's understandable, but just know that we are asking the questions for a reason.
Nobody ever calls 911 to say, how y'all doing? Have a nice day.
Some people will start their phone call off with that, but normally it's the people that aren't really in an emergency. Those non-emergency callers might say, hey, how are you today? But for the most part, they don't.
No, just right into it, I know. And they're dealing with trauma. And right away the ones that are really dealing with trauma. Yeah. So some of our listeners are in the public safety community. What's something you'd want your colleagues in law enforcement and fire and EMS, what would you want them to know about your job?
Those of us that are there doing this job, we're there because we want you to get home at the end of the day. And, we are doing our best to try to make sure that happens, and we're there for you. And same thing with the callers. Have a little patience with us if you can, because we're not just answering phone calls. We are working the radio, and we're confirming warrants, and we're listening to the bus channel, and we're checking the weather there's so many other things that we're doing all at the same time, trying to make sure everything gets done and everybody's okay.
Yeah, that's something that I've never thought about before, that when emergency response happens, that the only people that really have to carry the burden of everybody having what they need and being okay would be the dispatchers. That y'all are trying to make sure that the first responders have what they need and that they're okay, but that the patients or the people who have made the call have what they need and that they're okay.
They have a very hard job, a lot harder than mine, and I don't ever want to discredit them because I am not brave enough to be out there in the streets doing what they do. But just to put it, I guess, into perspective for anybody listening, when they respond to a call, we're only sending them to one call at a time. So they may be on that barking dog call, and then I might send another officer to a CPR call. So they're each on that one call that they're tending to. They're helping that one person, but we're dealing with maybe 10 or more calls at a time, depending on what agency that we're working for. And I'm a supervisor, so I'm looking at all the calls on the screen, trying to see if not only my calls that I'm handling are, what's needed is being done, but I'm looking at everyone else in the room's calls as well. So we're not just dealing with that one specific call at a time, and I think that's another thing that makes us stand out from the work that they're doing. So, and a lot of responders, they don't know what all we're doing until they have the chance to come to dispatch and sit with us. A lot of the times they're really amazed. It's like, y'all aren't just sitting here just answering 911 calls.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other things that you're doing at the same time.
Right.
So,
yeah, we appreciate you sharing that. I feel like it's a really demanding role to play in emergency response, and so we are so grateful. One of the things that I've heard said is that because of all that you have to carry as a dispatcher and all that you have to deal with, that it is something that's kind of a calling. One of my questions would be, how do people know if it's something that maybe they would be good at, or what kind of gifts, what kind of talents do you need to be able to be an effective dispatcher?
like I mentioned before, when I applied, I really had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I would say at the time I knew that I had good customer service skills. I had worked in customer service since I was 15 years old. I feel like I'm pretty compassionate and I want to help people, so that's a start. If you know that, you have any of those qualities, for sure, then 911 might be the place for you. It's a lot of multitasking going on, a lot of doing things all at one time, being a listening ear, but it definitely is. It is a calling, and I don't really remember the exact moment that I remember feeling like that, but I do know that at one point after I had been there for a while and was starting to get the hang of things, it's just a feeling that you have, and you're like, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
So, and that's what has kept me going back.
As a supervisor, do you get to see that light bulb go off, like, with dispatchers that you're leading, like this moment of, I'm right where I'm meant to be? Like, do you get to see that often?
Yeah, for sure. And before I was a supervisor, I was a trainer for 3 years or so, and I still get to do a little bit of training even as a supervisor. So that is very rewarding as well, getting to see people that you've poured your all into, giving their all, and they make it through training, and then even getting promotions, and that's a great feeling also.
I love when I'm in the radio room on your shift. You do a great job of just shepherding your folks, looking after them, taking care of them, encouraging them. I know that sometimes you've got to have honest and difficult conversations, but you manage to do that in a really affirming kind of a way. I think you're awesome at that part of your job. So I mentioned that you were a debutante and a clogger. Those are important parts of, the thing is, our dispatchers, they're all these surprising layers because they're real people. And people don't know that. When they call in, they just hear this voice. They don't know that. They also don't know that you're a single mom. who's doing a brilliant job of raising a beautiful daughter. They don't know that you're a follower of Jesus. I'm always curious from the public safety perspective. In your role as a dispatcher, can you see God at work? Do you sense Jesus near to you while you're doing your job? How does your faith play into your role as a 911 dispatcher?
I think it goes back to that calling thing that we were talking about. And it's definitely a sense that I was made to be doing this, and this is my purpose, at least right now in life. It is. God is the one that gets me up every day and helps me keep going back to try to help people, citizens, and responders. And, He's the one that's helping me with that resilience, because I can't do it on my own. And sometimes I'm having my worst day, and I'm going back to work to try to help people in theirs. So
I see you guys exercising mercy, kindness, compassion, wisdom, courage. All of those things are also attributes of the God that you and I love. I can just imagine that when you're helping someone over the phone, sometimes it's just like God is helping them through you, reaching them through you, coming to their aid through you. He is a very present help in times of trouble, and I love that too. You guys really are heroes. One of the dispatchers said to me one time after we got the wrap on my car, and it's 4 heroes, and it specifically says on the side of the car, fire, EMS, law enforcement, 911. I drove over to 911 one day, and one of the dispatchers saw it, and she said, "I can't believe you've got us on the side of the car. That means so much to me." I mean, she was almost in tears. And I said, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "We're one of the heroes?" "Yeah, you're one of the heroes. That's why I keep coming around here." We work with fire, EMS, law enforcement, and 911. It's like a light bulb just went off for her, and she realized that. It's like, you guys, I think of you as my friends. You're part of my life. I can't imagine my life without you in it, because of how closely we work with each other. But you're also heroes to me, because I see what you do. I see the burden that you carry. I see our community leaning hard into you during times of stress and trauma. I see that you sometimes don't get closure. You sometimes don't know if a person lived or died. I know too that you're dealing with your own personal things that weigh on you. It's a big job, this job. Not all heroes wear capes, but I think the God that you and I believe in, the God who we love and have given ourselves to, He is a God of mercy, kindness, compassion, wisdom, all attributes for you to lean into and draw from Him. It's got to be that sometimes as you're working and as you're stressing about the calls and all that's going on around you, and you're trying to just juggle it all and keep anything from breaking, that you must surely sense the nearness of God to you as He is working in you and through you and all around you to bring peace into the chaos. That's what you're doing. That's why you're a hero to me. I love you guys and have so much respect for you. I'm grateful for you every single day, the difference you've made in my life and the difference you make in our community. Thank you for that, Lauren. Did you have anything else you wanted to say to our listeners today?
I'd just like to say thank you for having me, and thank you for the opportunity, but especially for shining a light on dispatch, and for letting me talk about what we do so that other people that don't really know, they know. And again, this week is National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. So if you know a dispatcher, if you have a special dispatcher in your life, make sure you love on them a little extra this week. They probably need it. But just thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's
Thanks,
awesome.
Lauren. You're a rock star. We appreciate you.
You are. And I just want to make sure that everybody knows that Four Heroes is excited to celebrate our dispatchers this week. And we actually have the opportunity to do an appreciation dinner at the end of the week. And anybody that wants to be a part of that, you can contact us via email at info@forourheroes.org. You can reach out to us on our social media platform at For Our Heroes. You can also text the word dispatch to 770-301-5580, and we can get you connected to be a part of loving on our dispatchers this week.
Awesome, Bonnie. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I'm going to pull a Frank and say, that's all I got to say about that. Thank you for listening to the Four Heroes podcast. Don't forget to jump in and encourage a dispatcher during National Public Safety Telecommunicators Week. They work so hard as the link between our community and the first responders in the field. I know we don't say it enough, but thank you to those who have or currently are serving as heroes in headsets.